highly qualified doctors, you invite an uneducated person like me, you will have to bear with me. Mechanics of health. There are many, many ways to look at this in this little time that we have. I will try to be within this. In what I speak, there will be many loopholes. If you find a loophole, please don't hesitate to ask a question. I'll fill that hole. These loopholes are because what is so big, we're trying to make it this small. Mechanics of health involves just everything in the universe. It's not just us. So, the super large and the ultra small, or the macro and the micro, all of it is in some way coordinated, and there is a cohesion between all this in such a way that you know as doctors today, if this hand touches this one, a whole lot of messaging is happening internally, literally, not just in the brain, literally in every cell in the body. But it doesn't stop here. This may be a little hard for you to swallow right now, but one day you will swallow. Because many things that we thought are impossible today, scientifically, we see it's the normal fact of the day, isn't it? So if you touch this, it's not only all these things happening in the body, depending upon how sensitive you are, that much sensation, that much energy will happen. But it's anyway happening at one level. Some cohesion is happening. This cohesiveness extends itself to just about everything. Every subatomic particle, if you do this, it's happening across the universe. But it is in such a subtle way that for normal day-to-day life, you may not feel anything. But now people wanting to know what's happening in outer space, they've set up all sorts of technological instruments. Now they are seeing the smallest radio wave disturbance cuts off communication. Now they're looking at how to position it, where to position it, so that they can receive. The same goes for this. It is just that to live a life of survival, it may not be relevant. But if one wants to be really healthy, when I say really healthy, medically healthy is a must, that is survival process. But really healthy means, see, if you have any machine, let's say you have an automobile, well, somebody just drives it to their office, it's different. Suppose they take it out on a racetrack. Now, there are many things it can do that you have not discovered about your vehicle. But there is many things that you will discover it cannot do. It's simply incapable of doing that. So when we lose the potential, see, loss is not only when we lose something that we have. If we do not explore a certain potential, that is also a loss, isn't it?
Yes.
Loss is not just, I lost something that I hold right now. I did not explore a certain potential. That is also a loss. That's a very big loss. So in that sense, I will try to break this down into as simple a fragmentation as possible. Let's say we will make it into 5 levels of cohesiveness. One is geometric and mathematical cohesiveness of this body with the rest of the universe. When I say geometric and mathematical, one part of yoga is about hatha yoga or about the physical posture, how to sit, how to breathe, how to stand, certain things. But there is so much science to this, you won't believe. There is that much science to this. I've been talking to certain, people who are handling healthcare in the United States. They're spending $4.3 trillion on healthcare, which is way above our GDP here. There are only 2 countries in the world who have a GDP above 4.3 trillion. But that is how much they spend for a little over 300 million people. A most affluent nation means, essentially affluence means this: initially you have a choice of nourishment, after some time you have a choice of lifestyle. In a nation where there is a choice of nourishment and choice of lifestyle, their healthcare bill is 4.3 trillion. That shows neither the lifestyle nor the nourishment is taken care of properly. If that was done well, there wouldn't be such a big healthcare bill. So geometry of the body. One important thing I was telling about the healthcare people is, I said, see, if you allow me to redesign your furniture, because in the United States, if you go and sit on any furniture, you'll become like this. You can't help it, you'll just sink into it. You cannot sit, you can only sink. I said, see, if you allow me to redesign your furniture, I will see that in 5 to 6 years' time, from school onwards, everywhere, you redesign the furniture as I tell you to do, you will see 40 to 50% of lifestyle ailments will go away. Yes, just obviously. So people may not understand what is this, how to sit it, what's the big deal, I can sit anywhere I want. See, if you have an antenna on top of your house, simply if you put it like this, will it come? You have to adjust it properly. Only when it sits right, the world pours into your sitting room. Otherwise, a black screen. The same goes for this. If this wants to know, if this wants to experience, if this wants to be genuinely well, wellness does not mean you're just medically all right. That is something very basic that must be there, otherwise things will fall apart. Wellness means, or well-being means that you are a complete life. By yourself, you are a complete life. What's around? You will do the best that you can. But the important thing is you are a complete life as you are. If this has to happen, geometric and mathematical coherence should happen. This is most fundamental, which unfortunately we have neglected. India is still not too bad, but we are going there. The moment economic well-being comes, all our furniture will be made in America, or we will make it like American furniture, we'll sit like this. If we are well-to-do, we should not sit like this. Only poor people sit like this. Well-to-do people must sit like this. We're all gastroenterologists, you know all the parts here, how they are. They're not fixed with clamps and nuts and bolts, they're hanging. If you sit like this, they'll all collapse on each other. It's not the most efficient way to keep your organs. All the organs in this region, thoracic region, has all the vital organs. How they should be? They must be hanging this way. If they hang this way, they will not do well. Maximum period of time, they must be this way. So geometric and mathematical coherence, biochemical coherence, this is something that you're dealing with on a daily basis. I should not tell you anything about it. Almost all modern medicine is about managing chemistry in some way, externally, but managing chemistry one way or the other. The other is the energetic coherence. This means electrical and electromagnetic coherence should be there within the system and also with the rest of what is around us. Because the whole universe is a play of these energies. Are we in tune with it or are we disaligned with it? We'll decide many things about it. I'm sure as doctors you have seen thousands of people probably. You don't understand why one person who lives so badly, at least on the surface, seems to be very healthy. Another person who seems to be doing everything right is getting unhealthy. Hello?
Yes.
You see such people every day?
Yes.
Because what level of coherence they've achieved, either consciously or accidentally or whichever way, somehow they became coherent with something. So suddenly everything functions well. The next level of coherence is called as quantum coherence. It's a bit too far away for us to talk about it. The next is called consciousness. This is, consciousness means it is that dimension of intelligence within us, which is unsullied by memory. What I mean by unsullied by memory is, see, everything that we are today right now, this body, the way it is, this body is a body of memory. There is evolutionary memory, there is genetic memory, there is karmic memory. there is conscious and unconscious levels of memory, articulate and inarticulate levels of memory. There is a whole silo of memory. These memories are playing today in the medical part of it. You're generally ascribing so many of these problems that people have to the genetic content or what kind of genetic background they have from their parent age or their forefathers. Accordingly, it's happening. So this is a body of memory. Memory makes things happen for us. Many things within us happen automatically because there is a certain inbuilt memory about everything, both in terms of your mind and in terms of your body. But in the yogic system, we don't differentiate between mind and body. We say this is a mental body. Because what you call as mind is generally a certain level of intelligence and a certain volume of memory. Every cell in the body has more memory than your brain can carry. See, because you're close, I'll take on you because you're in the corner. Do you remember 5 or let's say 10 generations ago how your great-great-great-grandfather looked like? No. But his nose is sitting on your face right now. Your body remembers. Yes or no?
Yes.
Your body remembers.
Yes.
Your body remembers million years ago how your forefathers were. It even remembers the skin tone, how it should be. So this is a huge silo of memory. And every cell in your body, how many complex functions they can do in a second? Can you figure it out mentally? Do you have computing power to do that? No. So I'm saying both in terms of intelligence and memory, every cell in the body has many-fold more than your entire brain can contain. So and it is playing, it is working without bothering you, it is working. This bothers you to work. This is working without bothering you. When it bothers, then we come to you. Otherwise, without any botheration, everything is working, such complex functions are happening without any management by itself. This is because there is an enormous storage of memory and intelligence. So this is a mental body. How coherent is it means? For every fluctuation or reverberation that you generate in your mind, a corresponding chemical reaction always happens. Today there is a lot of research in this direction. If many of your doctors, if you like to get engaged, we have opened a center in the Harvard Medical School in the Blissful hospital, where these studies are going on and profound things are being looked at, how these things are correlated to who we are right now, how we behave, what we do, what are our capabilities, everything. For every fluctuation, there is a corresponding chemical reaction. For every chemical reaction, there is a corresponding sensation on the level of sensation. Most human beings may be completely unaware of the sensations that are happening to them right now, but there are sensations in every millimeter of your body, unique sensations. Only when it becomes very acute, either positive or negative, either pain or pleasure when it happens, you will notice it. Otherwise, you don't notice it generally. But if you pay enough attention, you will notice all the sensations because they are happening all the time. And similarly, for every sensation, in turn, a chemical reaction happens. Because of the chemical reaction, another fluctuation happens. So this is a ruthless cycle. If you just touch the firmament of your mind once and leave it, this cycle picks up and it just keeps on picking up momentum. This picking up of momentum will create so many chemical deposits which will disalign your chemical coherence at some level, and then it will start doing things. But today, medicine is looking at it in this way, that stress and your ailments are connected. It is not necessary that you must be stressed. It is just that you're busy in your head all the time. That is, you're having a mental diarrhea. Usually regular diarrhea, they come to you, but I'm talking about mental diarrhea you're having. Mental diarrhea will cause this, that it'll bring about a chemical dissonance with the rest of the system, So gradually something will start breaking down. What will break down? When certain amount of chemical dissonance happens, whatever is intrinsically weak within us because of our parentage, accordingly those things will happen. Now we will say that disease is genetically coming. Disease is not coming genetically. Intrinsically something is weak within us. The same thing that was weak in our father is weak within us. Now, if you live similar kind of lifestyles, what he got at 60, you will get it at 40 probably. I will not go into it, this is your arena of things. But the most important aspect of achieving health is we need to create a culture of health. What to eat, how to sit, how to stand, how to breathe, what to do and what not to do with this one. See, this is the finest technology on the planet, this human mechanism. There isn't another machine on this planet which is as sophisticated technology as this one. Oh my God, you're whistling, one of you. Oh. You agree with me, sir? Wonderful.
Yes, of course.
So this is the finest technology. But how are we managing it? I am asking, not for you as medical professionals, as human beings, have you read the user's manual? How to use this machine? No. Somehow, accidentally. Some things work, some things don't work, and we think it's normal. It is not normal. It is just that if you buy any instrument, many of you are pointing your phones at me, so if you buy a phone, do you read the user's manual the first 3 days? Or after 3 years when you want to throw away the phone? When do you want to read it? First 3 days you must know. Only then you get to use it well. The same goes for this. You must read the user's manual. Where is it? Where is it? Does the child come with a tag attached to his neck, his or her neck? No. It is written into this. It needs some attention to know this. But the problem is our education systems have done this to us right from kindergarten. You were only rewarded for your memory. You were never rewarded for your attention. Hello?
Very true.
So, you paid a lot of attention to the teacher, you are not rewarded for that. They only check your memory and they reward you for that. This is a horrible mistake we have done with human beings, because memory, especially now, that machines can have better memory than you. Now, all those people who are reciting Vedas backward, scriptures this way, that way, reading a textbook and reciting it, all those people will be no use, because machines can do it. Your phone probably has 10 times your memory. How many GB are you anyway? So health, if it needs to happen, we need to create a certain level of coherence, physical coherence, the structural coherence of the body, the chemical coherence, and energetic coherence. If these three things happen, largely health is managed. I'm not saying this to pat ourselves on the back, but because you need practical examples. Last 3 years, it's been pandemic time. I think it's, I don't know, today, tomorrow may be the pandemic anniversary, third anniversary. This is the time it broke out, right? March. Mid-February, March is the time it came out first time. In these 3 years, I've traveled extensively. Actually, I've traveled much more because others were not traveling than normal. And my engagement with this, lots of people, millions of people around the world, all over the place. But in the last 3 years, I have not even caught a cold or had 1 day of temperature, no. Exertion I've had. Being exhausted, absolutely exhausted kind of situations have happened to me. That's because of my carelessness about myself and activity. But I have not caught a thing in 3 years. This is not magic. This is management. Just managing a few things properly. There is no magic to this. Magic is already done. Hello? Creation is already magic, isn't it? Magic is already done. There is no need for us to create any magic. We need to manage the magic. Something magical is given to us. Just see, two cells came together. You know this or your gastroenterologist?
Good one.
Two cells came together. Look at us how we become. Magic or no? Hello?
Yeah.
Magic or no?
Yes,
Magic?
yes.
We don't have to do any more magic. Everything is magic. Look at this. If you put film, fragrance will come out. Magic or not? Magic is already done. There's no need for us to do any silly magic. Managing the magic is the whole thing. So, this is not magic. That no matter where you are, what infections are going on, you remain healthy is not magic. It's management. What to eat, how to be, how to breathe, how to sit, how to stand. If one understands this, this is very much possible for every human being. This is a culture which had hugely invested in these things traditionally, but unfortunately, particularly in the last 50, 60 years' time, a whole lot of things have been lost and we have to relearn everything. Well, individual people may relearn, but to teach to a whole culture, it takes a lot of effort. This is what we are trying to do, to bring a culture of health. How to be healthy is not just about healthcare systems. See, someone else, I'm not saying this in any depreciation of all the wonderful things the doctors and the medical sciences have done. Many of us, almost all of us, are still alive because of the various development in the medical science. There is no denying of that. Because average life expectancy of an Indian in 1947 was 28 years. Except the very young babies who are here, none of us have a right to be here by those standards of life. So thanks to the medical sciences, I'm not going to depreciate that, but still, we need to understand nobody can give us help. Somebody can help us when something goes wrong. Nobody can give us help. We have to create help. We have to manage this magic that we have in a healthy way. Health is not just in medicine or in a doctor's kit. It's not a toolkit like that. Health is when everything is functioning smoothly within this will be healthy. But when we do too many things unconsciously and compulsively, then being healthy becomes a big challenge. The way we are going, my projection, I could be wrong, please tell me. My projection is if we go in the same way, we eat the way we are eating, we live the way we are living, if we do this, in another 50 years, at least 50% of the people, 50% of the population needs hospitalization. We are going there very rapidly. It is just that today, many hospitals are being built like hotels. They call it many things, health resort. It's a hospital with a swanky atmosphere, all right? With a lot of fancy things. Still a hospital, doctors are there, nurses are there, treatment is there, but done in a very fancy way, in a very expensive way. If we go with the same mode of lifestyle that we're doing right now, at least 50% of the population will need hospitalization in the next 40 to 50 years' time. But we can easily reverse this by bringing a culture of health. And in my opinion, nobody is close to making this happen, as close to making it happen as this country and this culture, because everywhere else they've gone too far and they have no clue. Here, if you just dig into what your grandmother said, you still have something alive within you. You can easily turn it back. But they have all gone very far, they have no clue. I'm saying, see, there are things about how we eat things, how we do things. I just found out that when I went to the United States, I just in somebody's house and I'm looking. They don't know how to cut a cucumber. They don't know how to cut a lemon. They just cut it whichever way they like it. I said, see, if you cut like this will not bring well-being to you. Why not? What is the problem? Anyway we're cutting it. You are many of your servants. Can we cut any way we want, I'm asking. There is a certain way to do it. It's not because of tradition. because of observing that life, how it behaves, because whether it's a fruit or a vegetable or a grain, it's another life. It has to come and fuse into this life and make this life happen. If we're just thinking about nourishment as certain measurable facts, is a very wrong way to approach. I mean, there was something about the Safe Soil movement. I was shocked to see that nearly 84 to 85% of the nations on the planet treat soil as an inanimate substance. That they only think of nitrogen, phosphate and this and that. But it's the largest living system in the universe, not just on the planet. But we are treating it as an inanimate substance. We only think of chemicals. Unfortunately, we are also approaching the human body like that. We are thinking of measurable facts. How much protein, how much vitamin, how much this. That's not the only thing. One life, if it has to merge and become this life, there is a certain process that's happening within us. See who we are right now, what I call as myself, was something else yesterday, isn't it? Yes, I'm saying something wrong. No. What was a piece of carrot, today has become a body. What was a banana has become a body. What was an apple has become a body. Whatever we eat has become like this. One life wants to fuse into another. This is not a simple process. This is a tremendous process. But we are not treating it as such. We are doing it in so many ways. I'm sure many of you, if you grew up in reasonably traditional homes, in your homes when you eat, you must eat quietly, silently. But now we've gotten to Western ways. When we're eating, we're talking, endlessly eating. Again, when I first went to the United States, when we did not have our own center, we were doing residential programs in these summer camps where schools and colleges go for summer camps. Everywhere, every 50 feet if you walk, there will be a bowl. In case of choking, what you should do, every dining hall will have at least 10 bowls like this. This is what it is choking. Why are people choking on food? Nobody choked around me in my entire life in India. This is all it is. You're eating and talking at the same time, and you choke. You eat quietly, why will you choke? It's as simple as that, but it's such a big problem. So many people choke and die, but you won't understand. I'm eating and talking at the same time, and these apertures are such, if some things are open, something will go inside. Hello?
Yes, yes.
I mean, this doesn't take any great scientific exploration. If you just observe, you know, it doesn't work like that. Like this, there are 1,000 things I can tell you. I don't want to go into all the details of that. But the important thing is, we are doing everything unconsciously, especially eating, sleeping, which are very fundamental to our survival. When we talk about survival, there are two fundamental things: eating and sleeping. All others are secondary. We must eat to sustain this body, and we must sleep. These are two compulsive processes of survival. This is why, Mahashivratri is coming 18th of February. I welcome you all, if it's possible for you, please come. On that day, no eating, no sleeping. Why no eating, no sleeping? Because the whole idea is to transcend the survival process. If you can simply sit here, normal, without anything in your stomach, not suffering, not lying down in your bed, normal, joyfully, if you can sit here, stomach is burning, of course. But you can sit here joyfully, consciously being hungry. And if you can sit here consciously, it doesn't matter how much the body says, I want to sleep, you can sit here alert. If these two things you do, in many ways you rise above the physical nature of who you are. This is why Mahashivratri, no eating, no sleeping. Two things which are fundamentals of survival. If you cross this, you in some way you cross the physical trap that life is. That body holds you with a certain power over you. You can go above that. Once you're above something, you see everything clearly. Hello?
Very true.
See, suppose after this conference you're driving to the airport, big traffic jam. Coimbatore, it's become like that everyday traffic jam, okay? And you will become very stressed because you have a flight and all this traffic, these red lights, you're seeing all the daylights of the cars and it just freaks you. But then somehow you got there, you got into the plane and you took off. Then as it settles, you see still traffic jam. But it looks so wonderful. All red lights and white lights. It looks really good once you're up there. Hello? You see how pretty a traffic jam looks? But when you're in it, it's a different matter altogether. So, little distance from the body, if we create, we clearly know how it works, what happens with this, how it responds to different things. Simple things. People, see, we have taken to this Western mode since the British came. We started eating in the middle of the afternoon. Otherwise, people in this country never ate in the middle of the afternoon. Because this is one thing you must understand. Here we are in Coimbatore, we are fortunate that we are at 11 degrees latitude, which is very important. I will not go into great details because then all of you might migrate to Coimbatore city. More traffic jam will happen. So, one important thing is, in the yogic culture, which was there in normal culture in this country, is you must always eat before the sun crosses the 60-degree angle. This is 90-degree angle. This is approximately 60-degree angle. Before sun rises above that, you must eat. And next meal you must eat only after it goes down below 60 degrees. You should never eat in this because at that time the way the sun is, because I want you to understand, your solar power, am I correct? No? Your solar power, the food that you eat, whether it's a vegetable or an animal or a bird, all are solar power.
Yes.
Yes? Everything that you eat is solar power. It's very important. The sun should be below 60 degrees either in the morning or in the evening when you consume food. But something so simple, if you eat in the afternoon, you will notice it what it does. Maybe these days you take a break for 15, 20 minutes and you're eating it up. So you don't notice it, just eat before. In Coimbatore city, it's not the same in every part of the geography. Here, below 60 degrees means it will be before 10:30 in the morning. After 60 degrees means it will be over 3:40, 3:45 in the evening. In between that you eat and see how the body responds to food. In these times you eat and see how the body responds to food. This eating, breakfast, lunch, dinner, essentially is an English practice that we have taken to and we are adhering to. So we are having all the English problems without that weather. Except the weather, everything else we are suffering. English problems, many, many things. So it's important that we understand the way the body is made. Body is not suddenly popped up from somewhere. This is a consequence of all the other life process which is happening on this planet. And all the other activity that's happening in the solar system and in the rest of the universe. We are not just suddenly a pop-up from somewhere. We are a consequence of all these forces functioning in a certain way. Among all this, there is a certain coherence. You cannot really manage all of it. But if we manage a few of those things, being healthy is very much possible. Above all, doctors should be healthy.
Yes.
So,
Yes, yes.
doctors must be healthy. They have no business to be any other way because in many ways, you must be a picture of health. It's very important. It's very, very important. Today, our modern medicine might have moved in the direction of doing everything by chemical manipulation. But as you know, even in the medical fraternities, it is building up that this is not the way to conduct health. This mode of treatment was good when infectious diseases were the dominant force, that you chemical bomb them. because it's an invasion. You have to kill them somehow. But now, as you see, I don't know what's the percentage, but I assume more than 50% is not infectious, it is more chronic ailments, am I correct? The percentage?
Yes.
At least 50% is chronic ailments. Only in the last 3 years, well, we had a pandemic, but that is not an everyday thing. But otherwise, people are sick by choice. When I say by choice, I know it's very insulting for a person who is not well right now, but it is by choice. Infection, it may not be by choice. It may happen to us somehow. But anything else that happens in the body is somewhere by choice or by ignorance. Ignorance is also by choice, isn't it? Ignorance is by choice, isn't it? So we've chosen to remain ignorant. We've not made the necessary effort because we've not paid enough significance to it, because all of us are born with a certain vibrance and coherence in the body that without much care, most of us can be healthy till we are 25, 30 years of age. If we are doing the right things, that same pattern may continue till you are 60 to 70, 75. After that, old parts will start wearing out. There will be some issues, we need to manage that. But for most people, by 30, 35, they start breaking down because you are not treating the machine properly. You've been doing serial wrong things. Now, slowly it's manifesting. Because the first 25, 30 years, there was a certain robustness and a certain natural coherence to your body and the rest of what's happening around. So it was working. Once it wears out, or once the dissonance becomes too strong, then your lifestyle, what you eat, how you breathe, how you think, how you feel, all these things will affect. Well, today gastroenterologist, if somebody, like at one time, my brother was running a chemist shop. He's a pharmacist. And I used to see examination time needs. They would stock up huge piles of anti-diarrheal tablets. Examination time means everybody's having diarrhea. I never had such a problem because examination meant nothing to me. But a whole lot of people, not one or two, hundreds and thousands of people in a given city will have diarrhea on 10 standard exams, 12 standard exams, means they're having diarrhea. So I'm saying if you just create a certain kind of thought process, your gastro system goes into a toss, all right? So this goes into your toss, this also goes into a toss. That is also there. The reverse action is very much there. Today, the gut biome health, how it is, and your mental stability, how it is, are related. The soil bioorganics and psychological problems are directly connected. There's a whole lot of study showing this. The lack of certain organisms in the soil is bringing about a whole host of psychological problems. These things have been studied, and there are very responsible scientists who have published these things. So with all this, what I'm trying to say is, health is not something that you do just here. There is a certain coherence. The atmosphere we live in, the kind of company you keep, how you sit, how you stand, what is around you. We can keep anything we want, but why flowers? It has its own thing. Simple thing would be, these flowers are a nuisance because every day you have to check them, every 2 days you have to replace them. You buy a set of plastic flowers and keep it, 10 years guarantee. That does a different thing to you altogether. So, about the food, today, this year is supposed to be the year of millets. I think if we do just this one thing, 50% of your diet moves to millet consumption. In the carbohydrate consumption, if 50% at least is millet, I'm telling you, there will be a marked improvement in the way you are in terms of your health. And the volume of food that you need to consume will come down significantly, which is very important for the gastro system, that if you can eat less food and create more energy, it is very good, because more food and less energy means it gets stressed. Too much process to do, but little bit of energy to happen. I would say, In most parts of the world, as individual populations, if you take it, at least in very poor countries, let's leave them. Let me talk about 30 top countries in the world where reasonable levels of affluence is there. I would say 80% of the people are eating at least 50% more than what they should be eating. About 30% of the people are eating nearly 100% more than what they could be eating. It is like you were driving an ambassador car, what, 8 kilometers per liter over there? Today you are driving something else which will drive 25 kilometers per liter, or it drives without petrol. All these things have come. So this is the difference. If you keep the whole system in a certain level of coherence, coherence essentially means least amount of friction in the system. If there is least amount of friction, the volume of food that you need to consume will come down dramatically. Largely, in the yoga communities, everybody is eating only 2 meals. Many of us eat only 1 meal a day, and we are fine, and we are very, very physically active. Only 1 meal a day. It's more than enough, because the body is capable of doing that. And someone got a Nobel Prize for talking about this intermittent fasting. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Hello? We've been doing it forever. That in yogi culture, the minimum gap between one meal and the next meal is always 6 to 8 hours. 6 to 8 hours gap is a must. If you eat one meal, next meal is only after 6 to 8 hours. This is something that we've always known. Overnight is always over 12 to 14 hours. This is our normal life. This is not a Nobel Prize winning life, all right? This is a simple life. This is how we always eat. So this level of coherence we bring in our lives in terms of how we breathe, how we sit, and what we eat, when we eat, and with what attitude we eat this food. This is very important. That it is not only about what we eat, how we eat is very important. This is something that completely all cultures have neglected. This culture always insisted on that, how you treat the food. So this is why it is not just some superstition. If you say food, we say Anna Lakshmi, all right? She's a goddess. So you bow down and eat in a certain way, because this is important. The same food will not behave the same way in everybody. If two people are eating exactly the same food, doctor or doctor, you know this better than me, will they be equally healthy?
No.
No, it behaves differently because there are many aspects, and above all, how you receive is very important. Only problem with getting coherence and becoming healthy is you may live long, and if you are not a joyful person, it will be a punishment. Hello?
Yes, yes.
If you are not a joyful person, if you are miserable, and if you live long, it will be a very long lifetime. This happened. Can I tell you a joke? You're getting very serious. This happened. A husband and wife, a couple, were to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. Anybody in that condition? 50th wedding anniversary. So they decided exactly what the things that they did and where all they went on their wedding day, the same things they wanted to do to remember and celebrate their wedding. So on that day, after they went to the church where they were married, then they went to a particular restaurant to have a special dinner, exactly the same food, same wine, everything they ordered. Then they were driving to that same hotel where they went for their honeymoon night. They were driving. And now the man is 78 years of age and the lady is 74 or 75. And then she says, John, what's the matter with you? That day, how were we? You were so passionate when you were driving, you were always passionately kissing me. He said, okay, I'll do it. And he kissed her. Then they went off the bridge and landed in heaven. So they were in heaven, and then both of them were golfers. The first thing they asked at the reception is there a golf course in town? They said, of course, the most spectacular golf courses we have. Then immediately they said, can we get a tee off? Any time, day or night, you can tee off. So immediately they went to the course and diamond-studded golf clubs were given to them, and they went and the man teed off, and the ball went straight and long, splitting the fairway. The lady walked down to the ladies' tee and she teed off, again long and straight, and both of them were walking down towards their ball. Then suddenly the man became depressed. And she looked at him and said, John, what is the problem? We're in the most spectacular golf course we've ever seen. You had a great shot, I had a great shot. Why are you looking depressed like this? He said, if it was not for your stupid health food, we could have come here a long time ago. There are some disadvantages. Please, if you have questions,